Glynn, tell us about Cigar Rights of America. What is it and why does it matter?
Well, first of all, we want to say that we appreciate IPCPR having us. This is the first show we've been to and participated in this manner. But Cigar Rights of America came about in 2008 through the cooperative work of a collection of manufacturers. Primarily about 30 manufacturers came together to formulate this organization in late 2008. It's founded to be a consumer-based organization for the cigar industry. It's meant to be a grassroots organization that can politically mobilize cigar enthusiasts across the country. So what we're doing is formulating state associations, state political action committees, being engaged in the political process in every state capital as well as in Washington. And the point there is that every major national industry that has a political effort has a grassroots group to support it, and it's time for the cigar industry to have the same. And growth has been exponential in the last 7 months. The retail community has been very responsive to it. It's been a great show in that regard for us. In the last 4 months, 37 states have now got retailers represented with Cigar Rights of America, and we think it's going to be an exciting year for the organization.
In what ways do you raise money besides membership?
Well, right now the organization is predominantly supported by the manufacturers that stand behind Cigar Rights of America, and the list is available of those founding sponsors on our website, which is www.cigarrights.org. So right now the manufacturing community is the predominant financial supporter of the organization, but the consumer base is definitely coming on strong in that regard, and we think within the next 1 to 2 years it could virtually become self-sufficient in that regard, with regard to cigar enthusiasts being the primary financial backers of the organization. Yesterday was a very positive day for the show, primarily because it came on the heels of the seminar that we did on Saturday, which I've been attending IPCPR seminars for the last 3 years just as a consumer. And I've never seen really more than 20, 30, 40 people at any given seminar. At our seminar on Saturday, there was standing room only. Every chair in the place was taken. There was about 30 people in the back of the room. I think that helped us yesterday. We had a lot of momentum yesterday with people signing up, and as you can see, it's happening again today, so it's a good thing.
But what are some of the specific things that Cigar Rights of America has accomplished at this point, and what are some of the things that specifically you guys are hoping to work towards here in the near future?
I think predominantly, and I was careful in phrasing this during our seminars, I think we're playing a support role for what the industry can do as a whole politically. And in that regard, we've been involved in over 17 different states in the last 7 months on either smoking ban or OTP tax battles. Some of the things, though, that we point out is, for example, we were engaged in the city of Long Beach, California with regard to allowing smoking back in the cigar lounge. We don't take credit for that, but we unleashed our list and called upon our membership to write those members of that city council. And in 24 hours, they were inundated with emails that were being read during a city council meeting where they're saying, this guy with Cigar Rights of America in Minnesota wrote me and he said, this is important to our community. And I thought that was indicative of the type of thing that can happen throughout the country. So 17 different states have been involved in very political hands-on battles, either statewide or cities, counties types of smoking ban battles. And this year was the perfect storm for OTP tax battles because every state's running a budget shortfall, and tobacco was just too easy of a target.
In what states have you gained the most traction, and in what states do you think the fight is the most important?
That's a good question, but the states that are the fastest growing right now for us really are Arizona, Texas, California, Illinois, Florida, and New York. Virginia's come on strong, New Mexico's come on strong. So what we've done is we've broken down the country into 3 different tiers. The first tier are 8 states that are our fastest growing states, second tier, and so forth, all the way down to Alaska. And we got our first members from Alaska this week.
Congratulations.
And we got our first retailer in the state of Alabama. So we're hitting some first here at IPCPR. So that highlights the ones that are the fastest growing. And so in terms of significance, they're all important.
Sure.
But there's some incredible brewing battles that we're very, very concerned about. For instance, in the state of New York, I think the smoking ban battles will be back in the very states that were defeated this year, which include Texas, Alabama, Oklahoma on repeal of the smoking lounge rule there, and Kansas. So some places that killed statewide bans this year, you know they're going to be back next year.
Where have you hit some of your biggest roadblocks?
Well, on the OTP tax battle front, there's no doubt about it that one of the greatest defeats was the state of New York, because the governor wanted a tax structure for cigars that would actually have been rather advantageous. You know, he wanted to stop it at 50 cents, make it uniform across the board, and then within 24 hours it became almost a 50% OTP tax hike. it was one of those that was slid under the table, and I don't say that loosely. It was done very quickly, where you're adopting a multi-billion-dollar budget in less than a few days. I think that's indicative of how the political process is working in some places. That is a very frightening part, and it's the part that's totally out of your control, and that's the frustrating part. But I think some of the states we're probably most concerned about in the last 7 months was obviously Florida, because who's ever tried to tie a cigar tax bill to a weight-based bill, which is usually how you tax smokers? And so what would the impact have been to put $1 an ounce tax on cigars? And the fear there was, yes, it was a significant tax battle and would have been a significant impact in Florida, but what I was really scared about was 49 other states getting a hold of this and saying, whoa, why don't we try that? I was scared of the precedent that would have set. So that tax measure going down in Florida, I think, was significant, not just for the state, but for the country.
How do you see the political climate changing for cigar smokers?
Small victories. I think Nebraska was a small victory, where a state senator and a governor signed a bill that allowed cigar bars to exist under their smoking ban provision. A small victory, I would consider Oregon passing a cigar bar bill that was very, in my opinion, a precedent-setting bill for one reason. It's the only bill in the country that codified an employee waiver. It said, I've been informed of the Surgeon General's report, I've been informed of the hazards of secondhand smoke, and I love my job, and this is where I want to work. It takes that element of involuntary exposure to secondhand smoke out of the equation. I think the bill in the New Hampshire legislature allowing cigar shops to have full liquor licenses is a progressive measure. There are states that have realized, and cities, like what happened in Long Beach, that realized they may have taken their original smoking ban ordinances or legislation too far. I think Ohio is a place that we could see a victory in the future, because they're realizing they can't enforce it. Right now you've got police departments being called upon to enforce smoking bans. I'm sorry, I want them to be thinking about somebody breaking into a home, not whether or not I'm enjoying a cigar. So I think that type of thing is what can help allow some small bridges to be crossed, and hopefully in due time we could see enough rollback that 10 years worth of regression could become steps in progress.
But this might be a bit of a ticklish question, but do you associate some of these draconian measures with any political party in particular? I mean, are you finding that for example, Democrats or Republicans are tougher, or is this a all over the place kind of a problem?
That is an absolutely fabulous question that I love answering. We have equal opportunity offenders in both parties, and I hope this is on them, because we've got members of the Republican Party that are adamantly with us. We've got just as many Republicans that have forgotten about what the word conservative means. The word conservative means leave me alone. That's what it means. And I want to quote the late Senator Barry Goldwater when he said, any government big enough to give you everything you want is big enough to take everything you have. And too many Republicans, including the governor of South Dakota, who just signed a smoking ban bill there, and I want to talk about that. A Republican governor signing that bill. Well, our Democratic governor signed a smoking ban bill. It doesn't matter. It's about the political flavor of the month. But South Dakota is an interesting thing that deserves mention. Smoking ban bill passes the legislature. Smoking ban bill signed by the governor. A grassroots organization comes together and collects enough signatures to put that to a public referendum and say, to heck with the legislative process, let's throw it to the people. Well, the fact that they just stopped the implementation dead in its tracks says that the democratic process can actually work.
What's your background, by the way? Just curious. How'd you get into this?
I was a political tramp. And yes, when you're willing to admit it on the air, it doesn't matter. I grew up in a very political family, and right out of college, I worked for our state legislature, the House and the Senate, and a former governor of Virginia. And then I worked in state government and local government for almost 20 years, and then 8 years of active lobbying. And then one of the clients was the Cigar Association of Virginia, and got to know a lot of guys in this business. And this was an opportunity to build a national organization from the ground up, and those opportunities don't come along very often in life.
All right, well, continued success, and I'm glad you gave us some time to speak about it. It's such an important thing.
Appreciate it.
All right, great.